Hey, everybody. Cindy Ashton here, CEO of Minerva Enterprises. I'm so thrilled. Claudia Harvey's with us. Doug Brown is with us. Claudia Harvey is a CEO of Apparel. And so you know, she partnered with Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank on this business and has really scaled it. She's also a phenomenal keynote speaker, a global entrepreneur, and a philanthropist. And most recently, she was featured in the new book called America's Leading Ladies, which included many other notables such as Oprah and Melinda Gates. And Doug Brown is a CEO of Business Success Factors. He has advised companies like Intuit, CBS Television, Procter Gamble, and many, many others on profit building. In addition, he's led the creation and training and presenting of high impact, results-oriented webinar seminars, web seminars for people like Tony Robbins and Chet Baker and Russ Whitney and all these big names. And so what I love about both of these is that they're so insanely like successful and still down to heart and beautiful and brilliant and kicking ass. So thank you for being here. Let's get started. First of all, you're both in our year-long program, but why did you choose to work with us here at Minerva?
Cindy, you and I worked together very, very briefly a little bit in about 3 or 4 years ago. I was very impressed, just a little bit, that we worked together and we stayed in touch since that time. As you had created Minerva and as we stayed in touch, and over the course of those 3 years, just with the 3 hours that I had with you 4 years ago, it honed enough for me to get on even bigger stages. So I was able to advance my speaking life and speaking career and meet more people and get to larger and larger audiences, which is what I love to do. When you approached me about Minerva and the opportunity of working with you for a year, I'm like, oh, this is great. I've got to do this. So if I worked with you for 3 hours, imagine what I can do in a year. It was a no-brainer to work with you. I think you're absolutely stellar. You're fantastic. You come from speaking from a different angle than regular training. Because you have been there, you've been in the trenches, but you come at it from a different angle. That's what I wanted to capture and work with.
For me, I came from the training world, right? So I was a trainer. You know, I've been through high-end speaking trainings already, but I'm still not getting it, right? So who do you know that can take me from where I am to where I want to go? And you were the first person that was recommended. And then I called you and I found you to be very, not only articulate and intelligent, but you understood the philosophy behind the process of speaking and how to make money at it. So I was like, okay, this is my gal. And this is where I engaged, right? Because I mean, I've done lots of trainings, whether they've been live or, you know, and I've done thousands and thousands of webinars for other people and myself. For me, it was, especially when we first started working together, I'm like, whoa, this is different. I mean, I've paid tens of thousands of dollars every single time to go to programs, and I didn't get what I got out of our first meeting with you, right? So it was kind of like, all right, this is very different. This is the real deal. And so that's why, you know, I'm here for a year, because, you know, it makes sense. And I've seen the trajectory of positivity going through my whole business and my whole life due to not only just the speaking, but just other things that have come out of this.
So both of us, both Doug and myself, and some of the other people that we've worked with in Minerva as well, have had speaking training before from other sources. The technology of speaking, the routine of speaking can be very, very boring, or it can be very vibrant. And that's where I wanted to tap into. I know the routine of speaking, how to speak, how to put a speaking presentation together. That's been trained, I know that. But the capturing the audience and engaging with the audience and using your body and your voice and your presence, because I'm a little person, I'm 5'2" on a good day. So it's how do I make an impactful presence to the audience and to the people that I'm speaking to on a live camera, to really capture that and that they want to work with me.
You know, Claudia, what I loved about what you said is because you're littler than I am, because we both got the little thing. And how do you command that presence without being over the top pushy in people's faces? So it's really interesting, Neeks, because as part of the lucrative bookings intensive, which we offered yesterday, we are actually giving away a free ticket to Captivate and Convert. And you two went to that event and we really
Yeah.
took it down to be solid, like no big stage, no big lighting, none of that. It is solid, like training, and without all the bells and whistles, like you're just getting down and training. And one of the things that we did in our presenting intensive a month ago in New York City was about, if you're a little person, how are you heard if you don't want to be over the top, and who really wants over the top pushing energy anyways? But we did this really amazing energy tactic, which we're going to be doing at Captivate and Convert in November for everybody that buys a lucrative bookings, intensive ticket, is that we really did a really cool energy exercise where you're literally not pushing, but you're so grounded in earth and you're so expanded that you don't even have to say a word, and everyone is like, and they're drawn to you. And if we look at the trends that are happening, people are tiring out of being overly salesy, over the top, push energy. People want to be drawn. They want to be invited in and not pushed into a sale.
It's the engagement. It's the connection. It's the connectivity with your prospect, your client, the people that you want to work with. And it's coming across with the opportunity of serving them with honesty.
Doug, I'm going to ask you a question, because you have both been a trainer for years and producing high performing webinars for people like Tony Robbins and many others. And you have invested tens of thousands of dollars into training and high-end speaking courses. When I asked you for feedback, you said, one of the reasons why Minerva gets people results is because we have our systems in place. And I was really shocked by that a lot of these big names don't. So can you talk a little bit about that, please?
You just said it all. They don't. I've attended speaker trainings, just multi-day events that have been $15,000 plus. Some of them had a bit of an organization around it, but a lot of it was, let's trial and error as we go along. I found them really unorganized. As soon as I started looking through the material that you put out, I was like, man, she's put a lot of time into this. This is highly methodically thought out and consumable immediately. One time, somebody gave us 35 closes to use from stage. I've been selling for my whole life, but what do you do with these 35 closes? Like, you can't use all 35 of them, right? There was no sequence on how to use those. And so the audience itself in there was like, well, this is nice. We have this, but what do we do with it? In your training, it was like, okay, here's how you lead up to it. Here's your 3 choices, right? You don't need more than that type of thing. It was far more consumable, far faster. Anyone that's going into the speaking environment, overload and everybody's secret sauce will confuse the heck out of you. You're teaching not just nuts and bolts of the anchoring the speaking foundation for not only being a speaker, but you're anchoring also, how do you make money as a speaker? How do you legitimately make money? It's really about sales conversion as well as speaker training in the process. And everything is thought out in a very logical, sequential manner. So it could be, in sequence, or it could be modular as well. You could just take a certain module that you have and say, I want to learn more about this, laid out A to Z, every single segment. And that was highly impressive to me.
And what I really liked is that you get to know each of your people that you're working with and our work. So it's not just a general, this is what you can do with 35 close techniques. It's not that. It's tailored specifically to what we do as a business and what your training can help us.
It's one of these things that I think that there's a lot of well-meaning coaches out there. And I feel like a lot of the coaching training is missing how to build curriculum. Because I never wanted to be a starving artist, and I went into and did my education, went to do my education degree, and then ended up as an educational consultant part-time. To be able to supplement my artist career, as a performing artist. And then I ended up being nationally published in Canada with schools across the country. Like, I've built curriculum in Canada that is still being used till today. And I do think that because I was an educational consultant, and specifically my specialty was delivering content to be able to speak to the 8 different learning styles. I do think that there's something in there. And this is, I think, a huge reason why we get results is because of my background as an educational consultant. I look at it like a teacher and not a coach.
There are a lot of people out there who know how to speak. They know how to talk about speaking, but they don't know how to teach it. That's the big difference I found.
My next question is for you. Here's some of the pushback that we get for this, where they're like, but I've already trained as a speaker. And I'm like, you don't understand.
Many of us have had other speaker trainers as well. And I could have easily said, I've had speaker training, I'm good. And I've already been on stages, I'm good. But I realized there was still something missing that I could do better. And I'm a learner. I'm always a learner. Again, working with you for 3 hours a few years ago was wonderful. So it was enabling me to know that I can do more, way more. Where you come from a different aspect is because you have been a speaker, because you have been a performer, the performance part to me was very interesting. It's how, again, I take my body, not from a methodical standpoint, oh, go across the stage and stand like this, but use my presence and enable my presence to capture the audience. And that is captivate and convert. So it's taking the information that you provide, honing it to my own skill set, and being able to project it in the way I want. It's not the architecture of go across the stage and stand like this. Now you say this. It's not that. It's becoming authentic, becoming vibrant, and using your background and all the tools you have to incorporate into my repertoire. So now I've got the great architecture of the talk, and now I can completely hone my stage presence to really captivate and convert the audience.
I agree with everything Claudia said. I come at this, I think, from a different angle when I hear that type of objection. The thing is that, objections are all based in fear of some discomfort, harm, perceived harm, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I would ask the person that is saying this, like, okay, are you where you want to be? If you're not where you want to be, are you being honest about it, right? So are we getting, false pride in the way that's saying, hey, listen, I can't, be open and honest about where I'm at, and therefore their mind is creating the objection to keep themselves in a perception of safety? How willing are you to break out of that if you're not where you want to be in the speaking business? And I was not. I've spent easily $50,000 to $100,000 on speaker training, easily.
Yeah.
In the past. And I wasn't where I wanted to be. So it's like, okay, well, I can keep trying to do this by myself, or someone I know who makes money speaking recommended this person. And then when I talked with you, it was like, okay, this person actually knows what they're talking about, because honestly, some of the speaking people that I trained with, they have big names. What I've learned from being in that training industry is a lot of people profess that they're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
But they're not telling you what they're keeping. I would, challenge anybody that it's like, oh, well, I've taken speaker training before. Yeah, so what? There's always next place to grow. In my business, many times I work with people who are making hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, right? And they are hiring coaches because it's the small incremental improvements over time that lead to the compounding positivity or negativity if you're not doing it, right? So they understand that concept. And if they can learn 2%, 3%, or 20%, then they're that much more ahead. And so if somebody's like throwing that objection out, my first reaction to is why? It's false pride, or is it honesty? Be truthful. Truthful is, I'm not getting where I want to go, and you can't get there by yourself. Whine about it or fix it.
Hopefully from hearing the way they're talking, not just to give us a testimonial, which we appreciate, but to give you insight into what you need to be looking for when you're hiring us or any other coach.
Yesterday afternoon, I was talking with a company that has access to thousands and thousands of businesses. And one of the things I learned from you, I put into play. And what I put into play was, listen, you're probably needing other speakers to fill slots where you're not able to actually attend those slots because you're already booked. So I made the pitch, and they accepted the pitch yesterday to actually put me on stages as a paid speaker. But this is something I actually learned at Captivate and Convert. I learned in lucrative bookings to put this process together. Now, what's so great about that for me is that that's a huge form of working leverage.
Yeah.
Right. And they're grateful to have me. So, and I'm grateful to have them. So I thank you. I appreciate, that. And that would have never happened if I stayed stuck in my own pride and didn't go to your program.
Like the people that are in the room in the lucrative bookings and the Captivate and Convert, they're fabulous individuals. So we're all very like-minded. And the networking that's now going on between all amongst us is also fantastic. So not only is our speaking getting better and more profitable, as Doug says, but our opportunities to work with stellar people that also are very focused is a great opportunity.
We're so grateful for that. Thank you so much to everybody. Super excited to work with so many of you watching.